This is episode 266 of the Super League Pod. We had our poll out twice this week as rules changes dominate proceedings with your views on desperate cheats, exhausted plodders and meaningless rituals. We've got Britwatch and NRL match reviews as the crowds trickle back in down under. We also signpost some of your stops on your Rugby League World Cup 2021 road trips. So you best get strapped in. It's SLP time. Hello listeners, welcome along to episode 266 of the Super League Pod. Welcome along all our long-standing members of the SLP family, and also welcome along to any new listeners that we might have picked up as live Rugby League is back underway around the world. Welcome along to you listeners as well. My name is Mark, I'm the regular host, Wigan Warriors fan, and one of my regular companions in the hosting of the show is Sarah, Hull FC fan. Hello Sarah.
Hello, Mark. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm okay. I just thought it might be nice to occasionally sort of tell people about us in case someone new's come along.
Yep.
Always worth it, isn't it? And if you're not new, but you want to get more people listening, then this is, share the show with people, and then they'll know more about us already.
Definitely, yeah.
And something else that is essential for people to know about is who sponsors our show. So do you want to let people know about our sponsor?
Yep, so tonight's show is sponsored by Rob's Toy Shop on eBay, and you can find a wide range of toys, gifts, rugby league birthday cards and more at Rob's Toy Shop on eBay. Visit stores.ebay.co.uk/Rob's Toy Shop, and on any orders over £5 you can earn 5% cash back, and also 1% of your order value will go into the SLP coffers by putting SLP discount at checkout.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty over there at Rob's Toy Shop to keep yourselves, your kids, your pets entertained over these now summer months. So go and give Rob your custom. On the show this week, Sarah, we've got quite a lot of varied news to talk about. So we've got some Rugby League World Cup news to give our views on, some ins and outs at Super League clubs, and of course this week in coronavirus we'll run through that as well. We've got two big polls that we're going to talk about in that section, so that's probably going to be quite the main part of it is going to be talking about the rules changes and the two polls that we ran around those, one before the Rules Committee meeting during the week and one after the Rules Committee meeting with one of the suggestions that came out of that. So we've got those to go through. We do have the results, the key stats for our British players playing as well in the NRL at the weekend, and some fan reviews on those matches, which will be good to get through. And then we will have a quiz, and then we'll say bye to everyone for this week. So it sounds like there's not much to talk about, but once we start getting into these news stories, I think there's plenty to talk about.
I'm sure we will manage to spend a couple of hours talking about them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll fill half a working day for someone, or a couple of dog walks for someone else, and what have you, with what we can put together from this. There was one shout out to make. I'm gonna take a stab, Sarah, that this guy's called David Hunter, but his Twitter handle is @DVDHNTR, so he just hates vowels.
Yeah.
Is all I can assume. But it was a message for you, really. So David got in touch and said, Sarah from Super League Pod and your son Josh, I just wanted to say welcome to our newest fans at the Parramatta Eels. Hope your added support can give us the extra kick on to win it all. As a lifelong fan, happy to give some history or answer any other questions. So that's really nice, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I don't know why it didn't appear for me for a while. I had to have it pointed out. But yeah, no, thanks, David. It's nice to be welcomed. Slight spoiler, I was worried that SLP curse might have hit straight away for us supporting the Parramatta Eels, but thankfully not.
Yeah, it's gone the other way. You're winning games with forward passes being called when they weren't at the end. It's the opposite of losing games to forward passes not being called that we talk about so much for Hull FC. And you're top of the table unbeaten, Sarah. It's a great start.
It is, yeah. And Joshua would like it to be known that he was a Parramatta fan last season.
Yeah. And I suppose just this sort of period has helped you entrench those new fandoms of the Eels. So yeah, if you got any questions for David, then you know where to hit him up.
I do. I'm just struggling because, like we said last week, they don't have the names on the back of the shirts, and it does make it really tricky to work out quite who's who.
So I suppose kind of some tips on just numbers, based on just numbers, who are the key players to look out for, and that sort of stuff might be a good kind of starting point, helping ground. Who are the starmen? What number do they wear? Each week. But then again, one might get named on the extended bench, but play at scrum half, and then you don't have a clue.
I know, it's like going back to the olden days where you knew where you were with your number 6 and your number 8 and whatever. But
yeah. Fair enough. Well, thanks for that, David, anyway, and welcoming Sarah into your Eels fan base. We're now going to move on to talk about news from around the world of rugby league.
So, in news this week, 14 towns and cities have been selected as host training centres for the 2021 Rugby League World Cup, which will be held in England next year. The men's, women's and wheelchair competitions will run alongside each other for the first time when it begins on the 23rd of October 2021. So the training bases are as follows. Bolton are hosting the France men's team. Doncaster have got the Samoa men's team. Hull, the Fiji men's team. Leeds have got Jamaica and Ireland for the men's teams, and England, Papua New Guinea, Brazil and Canada for the women's teams. Liverpool and St Helens have got the Tonga and Italy men's teams. London have got England, Australia, Norway and Spain for wheelchair teams. Manchester and Trafford have got England and Australia men's teams. Newcastle have got the Scottish men's teams. Preston have got the Welsh men's team. Sheffield have got the Greece men's team, as well as the France, Wales, Scotland and USA wheelchair teams. The Tees Valley have got the Cook Islands men's teams. Warrington have got Papua New Guinea men's team. Wigan and Leigh have got the Lebanon men's team. And York have got the New Zealand men's team, as well as Australia, New Zealand, France and the Cook Islands women's team. So there we go.
Yeah, all the bases announced, and the way it was done through social media on Wednesday in the week, it was kind of following on from the same style that they did some of the stuff around how the draw would operate and those sorts of things. So they brought back that the young lady who acted as the teacher to all the players. They had. Each announcement had a little bit of a history lesson about everywhere that they were, the teams that were going to be there, and had people involved in the teams that are going to be in those locations. For the most part, a few people didn't seem to manage to connect to their Zoom calls to be involved, but for the most part,
a problem.
And actually, it's another example of all of rugby league kind of being coordinated quite well together with all of the clubs and all of the clubs and nations all sharing the same message and that sort of stuff, and all the ambassador of the World Cup doing the same thing, and a lot of either local celebrities or the tourist boards or the councils and all those sorts of things for all the areas as they were coming up through the morning each half hour as well getting involved. So what you did have is you had lots of accounts tweeting about rugby league that wouldn't normally tweet about rugby league, which I thought was great to follow along during the morning. I don't know how much of it you saw yourself, Sarah, but Hull have got Fiji men's. It's kind of a bit of a strange one because the Fijian flyer is going to be out of Hull.
Well, that particular Fijian flyer, you never know who we might have.
No, of course, yeah. And Fiji have played in Hull before in World Cups gone by in the last sort of couple of World Cups that have been over here. So there's some familiarity there as well. Are you excited? What does Joshua think about having Fiji based in the city?
Do you know something? I don't know if he actually knows yet.
Fair enough.
He was back at school last week. He didn't have quite so much time to browse, every sporting site going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's good to get a team, I think.
I mean, it's one of the big teams, isn't it? In that they've been to the World Cup semi-finals.
Well, they are big, yeah.
So many World Cups in a row now, going back to, 2008?
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you've got England and Australia, haven't you? Who are and New Zealand, who are your top three.
Yeah, and it's not a huge surprise that, the places that were hosting them were the places that were announced first. To kind of give the thing a kickstart. And Australia and England both in Manchester, kind of, it's where the final's going to be, and they're probably the two sides expected to most be in the final.
Yeah, I mean, it might have been nice to have spread them out a bit so you've not got them both in the same city. But, in terms of Hull getting Fiji, they're in that second bracket, aren't they, really?
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. And Preston's the nearest city to me, and that's obviously that's been involved in the Rugby World Cup, which I think is really exciting. And I saw, accounts to do with Preston Council, that sort of stuff, tweeting about Rugby League, which I've never seen before. So hopefully that's something that this can give encouragement for. The Tees Valley as well, similar sort of thing. You wouldn't necessarily see Middlesbrough Football Club tweeting about Rugby League normally and that sort of stuff. So that was really good. Some downsides to the way the announcements were done. I thought John Keir was incredibly patronising when they did the Wales one. Elliot Keir did his best to be enthusiastic about the way it was put together, but John Keir just came across as incredibly patronising. I don't know how else to say it, really. But yeah, lots of the players were, properly got involved, showed that they're not much actors, but at the same time, they got involved and helped it becoming, be an entertaining morning of catching up on what was going on the Rugby League World Cup feed.
And it just all adds to, we've not got any live domestic rugby to talk about at the minute, so let's make a big deal about other thing, about things that are coming up. Let's create a bit of excitement and enthusiasm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they sort of delayed talking about the outcomes of the rules meetings until the next day and stuff like that, which meant that this got the full focus that day, and it was the 500 days to go until the first game and that sort of stuff. So it was, it was exciting, and I think it was well done. And it's certainly my excitement for the tournament is still pretty high. So it did well there.
Yeah.
Hull FC halfback Albert Kelly will return to Australia when his contract ends at the completion of 2020 Super League season. The 29-year-old who joined the early birds from city rivals Hull KR at the end of the 2016 season announced the decision on social media. He scored 43 tries in 70 games and was part of the 2017 Challenge Cup final against Wigan at Wembley. Tom Andrews, Hull KR fan, got in touch to say, "Farewell to the Nuggets lot. Main achievement lasting more than 2 seasons at a club. Must have been getting chinned by Radders and going down like a sack of McFries that made him decide to go home. Reckon he'll join the Macca's Cutters." I don't know if that pun, Mackay Cutters, Macca's Cutters, works that great, Tom, but nice Nuggets lot mention. But Sarah, really, your view's the one that matters on this one as a representative of the Hull FC fan base. So Albert Kelly, how will he be thought of, and are you sad to see him go?
He's been good for us. He's stayed out his contract, which is far more than certain people said that he would do. Yes, there was an off-field incident, but then, show me a player that hasn't had an off-field incident. He's been a great player for us. He's won 2 Challenge Cup finals with us. Or 1 Challenge Cup final with us.
I don't think he played in the...
No, he was only there for 2017, which is 1 more Challenge Cup final than he won over the other side of the city. And, he came to us as a freebie, so you can't really complain, can you?
Yeah, exciting player to watch on his day, but maybe he didn't have his day often enough.